Greetings, Aquaba. Welcome to Afterwords, a weekly discussion that follows the Sunday online presentation of the Shrines of the Black Madonna of the Pan-African Orthodox Christian Church. Today's word featured our own Cardinal Aswad, and his topic was, "We interrupt your regularly scheduled program." And now today's moderator, Brother Zadier.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. This is Zadier Ekundayo in Denver, hot off the sermon of the Cardinal Aswad Walker. Aswad Walker is here with us briefly before he needs to preside over another healing moment. Brother Aswad, would you introduce yourself and talk about your thinking that went into the sermon? And thank you so much for your word. I'm verklempt over here. Help me.
Well, you're gonna make me break out my thesaurus. Go ahead, brother. So many things kind of inspired this, but if I had to point to one thing, I was at Congressman Al Green, represents state of Texas. He's trying to push for a National Slavery Remembrance Day. And he had an event here in Houston, and one of the local pastors, a really good brother, Dr. James Dixon, who heads up the Houston branch of the NAACP, he was saying some words, and he said, "America owes God an apology." Because just because of the white theology that is literally killing us. And I mean, we've heard that before, but when he said it, it just really, really, really struck me. And I just started thinking about just how insidious that slave theology has been. Then I just started thinking about all the other things that have been heaped upon us to try to block us from seeing, the greatness that God has placed inside of us, the greatness that God has placed inside my group leader, Major Colomo, and good Sister Pumani, and so many others. And so that was really the thinking, that we've got to call it out. But we also have to remember that even though there are all these efforts to try to block our light, that's literally our divine assignment. That's what we have done, and we've done it extremely well for 70 years. And that's what we are really being called to really step up right now. So that was the thinking behind it.
Right on. And your selection of Lauryn Hill and Parliament Funkadelics and Rumi and all the others to speak on light, that just came easily as well. It was there already.
Well, I'm a child of the P-Funk, so that was easy. The Lauryn Hill words. I mean, I think she's an underrated rapper to begin with. When folk talk about the greatest, I don't know why she's not included in that conversation. However, so I included some of her words, and I put it on the sermon, on the transcript. I said, "Man, I don't have the nerve to do this. I'm not silly enough to do it." But I went ahead and did it anyway.
Yes, you did.
Because she's got a light to shine just like we do, and that's the way she shines her light.
Yes, I hear you. What other artists or folk would you, Sister Fumani, add to lift up the idea that we are the light? And that the light is in us.
Yeah, just to quickly second, I really love the Lauryn Hill edition. That album is now 25 years old. And wow. I remember when it came out, and we played, all my friends played it on repeat, 20 times a day. But the first person that comes to my mind is Stevie Wonder. I mean, he is the light bearer of all things. My father made sure we listened to Hotter Than July in the car at 3 years old on every car ride. So Stevie Wonder has to be first and foremost.
Right on. Minister Olatunji, would you add something from Black pop culture to the text of today's sermon at any end of it?
Yes. Again, Walimo Olatunji, Shrine 9 in Atlanta. And the main thought with such a powerful message from our master teacher is, hey, we are made for this. The Pan-African Orthodox Christian Church ministry, we are made to shine the light on a Pan-African world, to awaken our people to our greatness.
And that's coming from one of the brightest light shiners that we have. Lord have mercy.
Lord have mercy. Major Colomo, talk about some pop culture text.
Well, I'm not too much. I'm old school.
Well, that was a pop culture. There's always a pop culture.
Hey, but a lot of times, you know what I think of sometimes is Earth, Wind, and Fire. And then I go back to I call it my theme song. I don't know if Swad might remember this. I use it in my devotions. Summer Madness. How the energy, your energy inside you takes you up and then puts you at peace. And you see that light shine right on you, you know. But wow, you hit on a point that I think you really have to be a part of the shrine to really understand that light inside you. That's God's cosmic energy and creative intelligence. I think no one ever heard of that before. And you sit back and look, and you board up and you listen to the slave theology, never thinking that the light is in us. We are God's instrument for change. Yeah.
I say
can I share an example of how light continues to shine over generations?
Yes, please.
So when I was in Major Colomo's group, one of his favorite sayings was, "As I do, so I believe, and as I believe, so I do." I've been teaching African American studies at U of A, University of Houston, for 19 years now, and I don't go a semester without repeating those words that I first heard from my group leader, Major Colomo. So even though years removed, his light is still shining in that way.
Appreciate it.
Right on. I hear you. Major Colomo, you are also inspiring me to remember the great song about the reasons, as you wrapped up the sermon about we're made for this. The reasons that we're here is...
Yep. Sing it, brother.
Yeah, inspiration is the word. I feel like I'm ready to walk on water one more time. You know, there is very little difference between walking on water and walking on thin ice, I noticed at some point in my life. Very little difference. Can you talk about why this is the moment for us? This is the moment for enlightenment, for things to shift, and for this time to be our time. What is it that tells you this is the time, brother?
Well, our presiding bishop, Jeremiah Jamili Kimathi, he said in 2008, when President Obama was elected, we were celebrating, and rightfully so, you know, but he said, don't think that the forces of white supremacy are just going to go quietly by the wayside. He said, in fact, you're gonna see things in the coming years that you never thought possible. They will pull out every trick in the book to maintain power, and I'll be darned if it's not happening right before our eyes. It's literally it's already at dangerous levels, but it's going up each and every day. And so God, who was it that sang Nights Over Egypt? Anyway, they had that line, your eyes won't believe what your mind can't conceive. And our minds are so mucked up by this, you know, whitening of history, we won't even be able to, even if it's in front of even if power and the opportunity for enlightenment and self-determination is in front of the eyes of our people, we won't be able to see it if our minds are trapped. So it's like, this moment here is just absolutely critical for what happens, I believe, for the next 50, the next 100 years. And I apologize because I have to go to officiate worship service here in Houston.
I say thank you.
Thank you for your message.
Coming to visit.
Good to see y'all. Love you. Y'all take care.
I say thank you.
And I like to add something with what Swab was saying, that we know we've already been programmed. But the generations that had to take us to the next step, like he showed the children, he said in the next generation in 2045, that the kids today are getting even more programmed. You know, when we was in slavery and boarding ships from Africa, we had no choice. But we have a choice now to deprogram our children now. You know, all the stuff on TikTok and shaking your booty, you know, that's got to be reprogrammed to our young kids today to lead us into the future. You know, the light is in them, but we got to deprogram.
Yes, I hear you. I had an insight. It's been years now that I realized we're all publishers now. We're all teachers now. Anybody can put up a YouTube channel. Anybody can go on Instagram. Anybody can go on X. Like, there is nothing stopping each and every one of us from shining the light from where we are. Nothing. The gates are open. We just have to open our mouths and do what we can where we are. Brother Olatunji, talk to us about what you can do where you are, what you are doing in this time.
Well, thanks to technology, we're in an information age.
Yes.
And like you just said, if we still have enough light to ask the right questions, volumes of information can be made available to us, unlike any other time in human history. For an example, in the African history class that we do online, it's free and open to the public. You see the Zoom ID right behind me. We were dealing with the concept of Zep Tepi. And Zep Tepi is a history of ancient Egypt or ancient Kemet that is dated as far back as 36,000 BC. And we are covering that period on down to about 5,000 BC. And within that time period, we're talking about high cultural civilization among African people. Before the Greeks came out of the caves of Europe, we had a high cultural civilization. And as we discussed this information, you could see the light illuminate on Zoom as we shared this information with those brothers and sisters who were there.
Right on, right on. I hear you. Sister Fumani, what are you doing where you are now to cast light, to shine your light?
Well, I've been charged to work more in the areas of financial literacy and personal finance. So I'm now a part of the Shrine of the Black Madonna's financial literacy committee. And so we will start to see more information coming out on upcoming seminars, requests for consultations, and just more general education and bringing in historical information that solidifies how financial literacy has to be attacked in a different way as an African person in the United States. And because as Cardinal Swad alluded to, plenty of Black Americans were and World War II officers were shut out of the GI Bill. We weren't allowed to use these resources that we fought for to foster a middle class. So we have to acknowledge those historical facts and then figure out strategies where we still can build and have economic empowerment for ourselves.
Ashe, I hear you. Major Colomo, as patriarch of your family, what are you doing to have your light shown?
Well, most of the things I do, I try to talk to people. You know, any type of conversations I'm in, I always bring up African history. And you'd be surprised how many people don't know so much, very little about African history. I was talking to a friend of mine in Bay Area, California the other day. I gave her a list of books to read. One about, I said, I had to put Black Messiah, Black Christian Nationalism, and then I gave Diop's book, African Religions and Philosophy. I said, you can't go wrong with that one starting off, so because that gives you a whole wide range of what we actually did as a people and how it relates to us today, how so many the Europeans have stole so much from us, so that's the best I can do. So I'm in an exile.
That's a lot. That's huge. It is weighing heavy on me right now. I am teaching high school, these young people in 9th grade. They are so young and impressionable. My challenge is not to overwhelm them, not to scorch them with the truth of our existence. I'm trying to take it slow in terms of, I've decided the next time I teach this week, I'm going to talk about, starting with Santa Claus. That's, you were lied to about Santa Claus, right? They let you believe that, and I hope I'm not busting your bubble right now as high schooler, but there is no Santa Claus, and that's just the beginning of how we've been programmed and how we can become unprogrammed. Yes, brother.
You remember the I don't know, it was a song or something, but Santa Claus don't come in the ghetto? Because we ain't chimneys.
Right. And somehow we know this intuitively. Always. Right on. What else about the sermon was something that lifted you or made you, is going to take you into next week and make you maybe change the things you're already doing, or give you more insight or power into the things you're doing now? What is it about the sermon? Will you revisit Matthew? Will you revisit the actual text? What will you do? How will you change in relationship to the sermon today? Sister Fumani.
I think for me, I would just I will remember that, I live in this universe, but the universe lives in me. And remember that I internally can sit in prayer and meditation and seek answers and not always look for outside teachers and texts, because we can sit and be still and receive the answers as well to let our light shine.
Yes, I hear you. That part where Cardinal Aswad quoted Neil deGrasse Tyson, who, by the way, has a YouTube channel. He is casting light every day. Brother Olatunji, Mwalimu Olatunji, talk about how your teaching will be even more powerful this week, and talk about the class and the time it's taught and how we can see it.
Well, first of all, the class is every Saturday from 12:30 to 1:30 Eastern Standard Time, and it's a free class and it's open to the public. The point that the Cardinal made about a basket of oppression, exploitation, genocide, you name it, has been put over our life. Even though we were born with the spark of divinity within us, that light has been covered up. But once we become conscious, and that's beyond our physical environment, but conscious on an international and spiritual level, then that light begins to shine again, and then we can share it with the rest of the world. And so we do that in the African history class.
Excellent, excellent. I will be there. I will be there. Major Colomo, how will this sermon today somehow change something you're doing this week and motivate you?
Well, I guess it made me realize even more that God is cosmic energy and creative intelligence.
Yes.
That God is in with us. We are nothing but energy.
Yeah.
And that energy that we are is that light within inside of us that we do have to let it shine. This is the divineness that we have in each one of us. But to get that light, to let somebody else know they got a light.
Yes.
And not let that bushel cover their light.
Right.
And they can help somebody else by realizing that they also have a light within them. And they need to let that light shine and not let that bushel cover their light, to really reach out and touch other people, to inform them that they do have a light.
Right on. Thank you, Sister Fumani. Thank you, Mwalimu Olatunji. Thank you, Major Colomo. Peace. Have a great Sunday and continue to let your light shine. Ashe.
Ashe. And amen.